Thing rolling?
Yeah.
Are we speeding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good enough.
My name's Julian Ungano. I'm a photographer and director.
I'm Timothée Agriodimas. I'm a photographer and cinematographer.
I was a competitive snowboarder as a kid, and I would get hurt a lot. So during those trips, some of my competition trips, I had a little camera with me that I got for Christmas, and I would just like run around and take pictures of my friends, and then started at Pratt in the photo program there, and that's where I met this guy.
I started out doing photography in high school primarily. A little bit before, I was kind of the opposite. I took a lot of portraits of people around my school. It was just like a way to talk to people, and it was a way to break the ice.
Tommy was a few years older than I was, and he was one of the only like photo guys that I knew at Pratt when I was a freshman there. I sort of used to just like bounce my ideas and my work off of him.
You know, it started out as a friendship, and then it just grew from there. And
it's been almost 20 years of knowing each other.
One of the things that we noticed early on with the transition out of film and into the digital realm, the whole industry was sort of shifting in this direction, and we, I guess, braced ourselves for that trajectory. We sort of owe it to each other as a duo and a partnership to not have an ego when it comes to each other. You know, it's important to be confident and strong and bold and go in a direction, but together.
Who presses the button is sort of a double-edged sword of a question, because it would imply that one of us at that moment is not as important as the other.
Photography for me is, I'm very reactionary. I'm less of a planner and more of an in-the-moment capture guy. And, you know, wielding the camera and using that tool, it's very like precise and important to like capture what I really intend to capture. I like the idea of having a very manual camera and not relying on batteries, not relying on anything except a lens and film and a crank. I thought that was so cool. So I managed to get my hands on a 503 CW system. Through using that camera, shooting Polaroids, shooting film, I was able to learn so much so quickly.
I was using some crappy like camera that I bought from my science teacher. By that point in time, I had become friends with Tommy, and at that point I was like, what is this Hasselblad? I need to get one. Took out a student loan and bought the camera, and it was like, I still use that camera. That is the same camera that I use today, and I bring it on every job that we have. That camera comes with me. I've been shooting square so long now that it tends to almost be the way I see things anyway. Sometimes I think maybe they like teach you not to center things in a frame, like when you're shooting 35mm, but sometimes a square, that's like the way you do it. That's the way to go.
It confines you, and it sort of forces you to work within its parameters. And there's no way, you can't really hide. Like you can't really work around it. You can't flip the camera to its side and try a vertical. You know, you can't, it is what it is. You're either coming closer or you're taking a step back, and you're catching it. And so, you know, like Julian said, sometimes dropping it right in the center is sort of like the most powerful moment to do it.
So what will happen is we will hand over selects a lot of the time of digital assets, and then a week or so later, we'll hand over a second batch of selects that are film assets. And what generally happens is the client looks at the film stuff and says, this is way better. And the immediacy of needing those images, it doesn't always allow for the best images to be seen. In the case of Timothy's images, I think that the film images won that contest, obviously, because those are the ones that made an impact. Those are the ones that like the world reacted to. You could argue that some of the stuff we've done very recently has been the biggest shoot, you know, because every shoot's bigger and bigger and bigger. So 11 years ago, I was shooting lay flats.
Paying your dues.
Paying my dues. And the girl whose clothes I was shooting, you know, flash forward a decade, that's who hired us for this stuff. So you could argue that that was the biggest shoot I've ever done.
Humans in general, we create these little goals for ourselves. You know, we say, oh, once I get into this magazine, I will have made it. Or once I photograph this person, I will have made it. But, you know, you get there, you achieve that goal, and you realize that you're still the same person that you were before, and you're not, maybe you've grown a little bit with knowledge, but that hasn't changed your life. You have to keep going. and that maybe helps you get another job, and maybe, so it's like collecting these images and creating this thing that just gets bigger and bigger, and that's your legacy as a photographer. It's your body of work.
I think every shoot presents its opportunity to potentially be the biggest job that you have ever or will ever have. We think that we are only scratching the surface of what we're capable of doing as artists. We don't want to retire. We just want to work until we drop dead one day.